thanks a lot for spending some time with me today. I look forward to hearing your story about your company and how it all began. So tell me.
Hey, Oscar, thank you so much for your time. You know, we're both really busy Latino business owners, and thank you for your time. With my background, I was born and raised in a very small town of Helena, St. Helena, California. And more through my maternal side of the family, my grandfather is from Jalisco, and he already had his brother-in-law and a few cousins working in Napa back then. And they always encouraged, my grandfather, letting him know of such programs. Like the end of the Bracero program was, the very tail end was still in existence back then. And so he finally applied for the work visa, and he made it out to Napa. And it was quite easy for the work visa because also my grandmother, by the way, again, on my maternal side, my grandmother was actually born in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, my great grandparents did apply for the beginning of Bracero program, and they went to Illinois to work. And my grandmother was born in Chicago, but then during after the Depression, the economy recovery was so slow where they actually benefited to go back to Jalisco and work the ranch that they owned. Mm-hmm. So it was actually quite easy for my grandmother to apply for the work visa, where I take this back. My grandmother came to work for a year and a half, and my grandfather stayed behind with 10 kids, Oscar. Yes. Wow. And then my grandmother went back a year and a half later without seeing them at all, Oscar. Then my grandfather came to work with the four oldest kids. My grandfather came over to the US, by the way. Wow. And then my grandmother stayed behind with the other 6 kids. So imagine the sacrifice of my family, the time they spent apart. And again, that is really what makes me today. As far as my success, it all has to do with our roots, right? In general, what we have.
And I really liked it. And I really like that story about Braceros, right? Because Bracero program, it was a great program. We saw a lot of families like yourselves going back and forth. They respected it. They would work their contracts that they would have of employment. They didn't overstay their welcomes. They were just like, hey, I'm going to do this, take all my money back. Yeah. And, like you said, they own their properties in wherever part of Mexico they were from. And their families grew. So it was a good relationship. And then they would come back to the US for another contract and work again. So I love always that love and dedication and passion for work, but everything was done for the family, right? So those are the roots that you have, and I think that's what's really a good inspiration for you to take it where you're at now, right? So how did you take that work ethic and so forth and experience from your family, and how did you build it all up to become PARRA Wine Company?
Well, so that would start out with our move to Oregon in the summer of 2016. At that time, I only had one common day off with my wife. And so the other day I would have off away from my full-time employer, I started to seek out extra work at wineries doing bottling. Okay. And most of the time I'm getting into these mobile units, and that's when I began to save up for PARRA Wine Co. It was just the extra hustle, not really having too many friends out here at the time. I just had the extra day off where, again, I already had goals at the time to start saving for a company, and which, of course, it's in a way more affordable state here in Oregon versus California. I already knew the numbers in California, Oscar, for as far as to rent space at co-ops, and still to this day, the average cost in Napa, it's between $8,000 and $10,000 a ton for fine Cabernet Sauvignon. Right. So those numbers are just, again, a really affordable option here in Oregon. So again, that's how my roots, as far as the influence that my family, the hard work they've had influenced me to seek out extra work. because I didn't move to Oregon with, gold coins in my back pocket. Like I don't come from a trade of abogado or no PhD here, man. But just doing the old fashioned way, man, just working extra hard and saving that money. And then also attending Salem Chemeketa Small Business Development Program.
Okay.
And getting my ducks in a row, man. Just a lot of preparation. And that's what I recommend to many others starting a company, is just do the research. And for this business and wine, the main thing is you have to be financially ready.
Right. And I read an article that you traveled through Europe and you were, and in Spain, and that's how a lot of your love and passion also was building up. So tell me about that experience.
No, of course. And in 2002, a friend of mine in Napa, his brother actually met his wife through she was a harvest intern at a winery in Napa. Okay. And then he decided once they were married, he actually moved to France, and her family owned a winery at the time in Côte du Rhône in the village of Rostow. So really close to Gigondas and Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So you have delicious blends there of Grenache, Mourvèdre, Syrah, and other varietals as Cunoise or Cinsault. So I was already a fan of the Rhone blends from trying them in Paso Robles and Sonoma. But the experience to actually go there to stay there for multiple months, and first in 2002, was just a great experience. And I got to travel through Barcelona and Penedès, and some travels to Burgundy and Bordeaux that same year in 2002. I have family at the time working at Opus One, and so they're owned by a French company. So they set me up with some nice appointments at top first growth places in Bordeaux, where again I got to go in, where sometimes the appointments can be you have to be patient to get in, but I had the in to a lot of these wineries to go in. And I truly feel with wine courses that I took in Napa as well, but also being in Europe, I feel that a lot of the self-wine education, I like to say that the wine education is at the end of every empty bottle.
That's so true. That is so true. I think, the traveling, in essence, your internship, in essence, that you were doing is you traveling, getting to know them, getting to know the cultures, speaking to the winemakers. And I read in the article that you were asking very direct questions, which the winemakers are very intrigued. They're like, "Oh, this guy really wants to learn." So let me just go, let him have it, right?
That I was very lucky also with company that was with me, as far as my friend knowing how to speak French, but myself obviously speaking Spanish and in Spain, but also in Portugal, by the way. In northern Portugal, they speak Spanish and English. I learned that you don't dare speak Spanish in Lisbon, in Lisboa. They prefer English. So it's more of a matter of as far as the technical questions were more on the winemaking side, as far as even techniques in general, as far as, barrel fermentation, percentages of whole cluster. And again, these are the great notes that you take for varietals. And what really set my Tempranillo apart here in Oregon is that I feel, even though the Tempranillo is grown in a cool climate area, where it's going to be a good Tempranillo for Pinot Noir or Gamay lovers, I feel that the Tempranillo makers here in the Willamette Valley, they're making them like a Pinot, where again, I use my techniques of notes that I've had from Spain, or even making wine with friends and family back in California, where I really separated the style of my Tempranillo. And even on the sales side, I wanted to be honest with my mailing list members. Shout out to most of them in California, by the way. That's where cool. They're accustomed to the ones of Rioja or Ribera del Duero, or the big California delicious Tempranillos. I would tell them, do not buy this Tempranillo. This is more for Gamay and Pinot Noir lovers. It's going to be more refined. It's going to be more elegant, more acid driven. So be patient, because my bigger reds will be out later as far as my blend or my Syrah. But I did quite well with my very first commercial release on the red wine, by the way. Okay. For the Tempranillo, and the media around here just loved it. And I think, again, because it was more of in the line for somebody that likes the unique varietals as Trousseau Noir or Gamay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many vintages have you released since you started?
Yes, my first time in the business started in 2019.
Okay.
I released 2018 Viognier.
Okay.
Rosado, and also a dessert wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sam, but how did you start? Do you have a day job? What moved you from your day job to save up to become a winemaker? We never touched on that.
I still have a day job.
That's good.
Yeah, I work 4 days a week at a winery, and they give me freedom to do this. It's just a matter of not talking about my business on their time.
That's true.
And so now, finally starting the company, I feel the more important part, when you have the product, you have to go sell it.
Absolutely. I think, once you come up with such a great product that we're going to talk about shortly, is product could be great, right? But if it's not in people's hands, it's only good to you to know that how good it is, right? So,
right.
So yeah. What's been your uphill battle? What has been your challenges to get your wine out to the direct to the consumer?
Not being large enough to connect with distributors.
Okay.
I'm in such minimal amount, which is a big advantage for me selling direct to people. Mm-hmm. So I connect with compliance companies that have the permits to ship to other states, where I can apply for them directly myself, but I am so small right now where instead of paying the fees for all the individual states, I can just go through a compliance company, and they have all the permits, and I go through them. Where that's my challenge right now, as far as having the next step of growth, which I'm looking forward to. To answer your question, that's my challenge right now, being in that range of small enough where I cannot connect with the distributor, but my blessings of being that small and with all the great press that I've had on my product is selling direct to individuals, which is the best thing right now. And for folks that tag me on Instagram, I mean, that's the best form of free marketing, in my opinion, for a small company like myself, starting out on a shoestring budget and still being on a shoestring budget, because anything I earn goes right back into the company to keep growing.
So how much wine do you produce?
I'm within 500 cases. Okay,
no, so you really are a small producer when it comes to that, right? I mean,
I would have made a little more than 500 cases if I stopped drinking.
So have you had any challenges as a Latino owner in the wine space?
Not at all. I feel in California, being so lucky to grow up in Napa, and also being in the business in Sonoma, where there is a respect, and folks know for the individuals that are doing the really backbreaking work out in the vineyard. And that is a really high percentage of Latinos, where again, there is that respect in the business of the folks doing the work, because you cannot make good wine without great product, without great grapes.
Right.
It definitely starts from the ground up. And then here in Oregon, I feel Oregon in general, it's a very liberal state, and there's definitely way less Latino wine brand owners, winemakers here in Oregon compared to California.
Right.
But as far as for my friends and the Latino community, we got together last year on celebrating Hispanic roots, and that was coordinated through Catherine Cole. She is a James Beard Award winner for her podcast.
Wow.
And she's also been a New York Times top seller for her book, Rosé All Day. Have you read that book?
No, not yet, but that's one of the ones I'm going to be reading.
Yeah, she's a big supporter of Latino winemakers in general. And she also supports the big supporter of the nonprofit I'm involved with, Illahi Voy.
Right. I read that on your article that you were written up. So, I mean, you've gotten so much press in Oregon, and I think that's really good. It's helped you, go to the direct to consumer, and also being amount of limited Latino winemakers in Oregon also makes you stand out with your product, right? So you're at a total advantage, but with the growing pains of a small business, at the end of the day, you do meet your goal. You do meet that dream that you're putting together of making great wines, right? So
big time. I even saved up enough. Let me show you this here. I even saved up enough now for some swag.
Oh, nice. So back to the wine, you send me a Rosado and you send me your Albarino.
The Albarino is selling like fast, like tamales at Christmas time, my friend. They are.
Is it because of the weather, or is it because it's getting hot? People just like the Albarino?
You know, we're a bit behind here for the weather in Oregon compared to California.
Okay.
But I feel it's something more unique of the varietal because you find more Pinot Gris in this area or Chardonnay. So when you have other varieties that are soon going to be planted more in the area, I feel with climate change, some have already planted Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
And you know, when you have the cool influence of Sauvignon Blanc, it's more reminiscent versus the hot climate in Bordeaux as the white Burgundy of Bordeaux. You have the delicious cool climate Sauvignon Blanc of the Loire Valley, the Sancerre. Okay. And then in that same area, Loire Valley, you have delicious Chenin Blanc.
Okay.
Some have planted Chenin Blanc here. Some have planted Sauvignon Blanc, but also again, there's a few that plant Albarino, and I was very fortunate from this grower called One Heart Vineyard. They're in Turner, Oregon, which is in south of Salem, Oregon. They split the Albarino that they grow with one urban winery in Portland, got the other half.
Okay.
I was actually given the right to buy it all. And Oscar, talking about the capital, and by harvest time, I was ready, but I couldn't go back to them and say, hey, don't sell to them because the contracts were out, where I was kicking myself to not commit to buying it all because I was kind of in fear that financially I was not going to be ready. But my wine sold so well through the summer where I was financially ready at harvest, and that's all I could get. And it's 50 cases and 3 bottles.
Oh, wow.
And right now I'm down to 13 cases and 1 bottle. It's selling fast.
Wow. And this is your first time you're making Albarino, right?
That's my first Albarino, and hopefully not my last. I mean, it's all a matter of the grower getting back to me because I'm not on a multiple year contract.
Okay.
It was a 1-year contract to buy from them. And that's going to be the beauty of my single vineyard wines, where I'm going to find some gems out here as far as different varietals, because I'm still in the early stage. If I make a Pinot Noir, it's going to be under my second label.
Okay.
Because on my single vineyard wines, these are the more smaller scale wines where I want to make different varietals that are uncommon for this area.
That's good.
Because if I make a Pinot Noir, I'm competing with 500 plus brands in Oregon that make a Pinot.
Right.
Where right now my niche is making varietals that are different. I'm making the Albarino, the Tempranillo, Viognier in the past.
Wow.
I'm making a Tempranillo Tinta cow blend. There's one grower's crazy enough to plant a Portuguese varietal in this valley. Such a thick-skinned grape should not be planted here.
But you know what? I think it's easy. I think it's a little bit easier when you're doing small blocks like that because you get to experiment more, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, big time. And I make a small lot, and folks see the production. When my email goes out to my mailing list members, they jump on the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. I think I was speaking to another producer up in Humboldt County. So
beautiful.
He only has 2 acres, right? And he's making everything possible that he brought in. He got grapes from all around the U.S., right? So he goes, here's my Russian River stuff, here's my Napa stuff, here's my Carnero stuff. And then he does a barrel of each thing, and he goes, and it all sells out because people are like, there's no way this is going to be that good. I'm like, he made Nebbiolo, and the strawberry jammy flavor was beautiful. The aromatics has lit up my when I was filming that day, it was in my kitchen. Everything was just beautiful in there. Nice. It was so well balanced. He's very keen on aromatics. So the aromatics were just in your face, but it was beautiful. And from him making Nebbiolos, Pinots, and everything, remind me of you. You're doing all these single vineyards style wines, and then you're doing all the different ones. And people just want to sign up because they're saying that normally doesn't grow in Oregon. So let me go see what's going on in there. Let me go support and see how it is. And I think that's really cool. So tell me about your Albarino.
Give it a sip.
Yes. Get that over here. So you have a very traditional color.
I do.
Very nice.
I want to say it has racy. I want to describe it as also zippy acidity. White nectarine, lemon zest. It was all stainless steel, Oscar.
Okay.
I want to preserve the acidity, which is going to be really well with poke bowl or good sushi or ceviche.
That's what I was thinking right now.
Or good spicy noodle dish like Thai or Vietnamese food. A good hot noodle dish. This acidity will cut right through this the spice.
So normally, I've never had an Albarino like this one that has the high acidity level like this.
Yeah,
it's really good. And at first when you take it, you're just like, okay, there. It's kind of like a little punch in your tongue. You're like, wow, there's a lot of it.
That's why I would describe it as racy or zippy.
There you go, man. But then it just settles great in the back, right? Mm-hmm. It's really, really nice and refreshing. I mean, for weather now, our weather is 75, 80 here in California, right? And
I know.
This, I could see, like you said, a nice poke bowl, some fish, something, just some sushi.
Even a niçoise salad.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, or seared ahi tuna.
Oh, wow. So I saw a big write-up in your pairings, right? So the Oregon Wine Press.
Yeah.
That was such a great article that they wrote about your wine and what to pair with and so forth. Obviously, Oregon has such great food culture, dude. The foodie culture in Oregon.
Their food is just like California, my friend. Their food is up here.
I love going up to Oregon, and I just enjoy, always all the fish. It's just so great. But everything else outside the seafood, it's at the farm to table, everything complements because everything's locally caught. Everything's just great. And then, but finding that good complement wine to do that, to pair your food with is now much easier because I love the fact that restaurants now are so helpful to say, really try this out with this. They're very passionate about it. And I'm just trying to sell you a bottle of wine anymore, right? They're like, here's a little taste, try it with this. And it makes it a really good experience, right? So I'm really
that's why when I tell you were spot on about the weather, because when I tell folks how little I make about this, Oscar, and then my top clients that are buying half a case or a case, they know they better buy it now in order to enjoy later in the heat of summer here in Oregon,
right?
Which is a very short window, my friend.
Oh yeah.
But they're gonna be in heaven with this when they go out to the coast and find all the local cuisine, and especially with some oysters.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I think with the acidity, man, it just cuts right through all that, man.
Yeah. What else can I tell you about the wine? It's telling me to buy more.
Yes, you should. Did you already sell out of this?
13 bottles and 3 bottles. 13 cases and 3 bottles.
Wow, 13 cases. Man, you're usually, when you do your mailer, you send that out, how long do you get responses? How quick do you get a response back that people want your wine?
Right away. Some of them see it, they jump on it. Like when this went out, there was also a pre-sale on the rosé as well that you have. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, this is really good. I can see that.
And it's a matter of timing where, say I'm going to work on Saturday, where the weather factor has been great in Oregon because I'll make deliveries on my way into work. Mm-hmm. And then I can store wine in my car. And when I exit work, I can go make more deliveries, where the timing is really perfect right now for the Rosé and the Albarino versus later in the summer. I'm there not to store any wine in the car at all.
Right.
Where right now the conditions are just right for me to do that extra hustle from away from my 4-day job, where I carry wine with me, because then somebody will get a hold of me and I'm having to tell them, hey, I have it with me. It's somebody local that buys wine for me. Hey, Leia, let's connect to this parking lot, or, let's connect in this dark alley later on.
Exactly.
But it's a matter of just, the extra hustle and the creativity of going back on the mailing list that I learned in California. And during COVID times, a lot of it was phone sales for my mailing list members that I know already, just picking up the phone and telling them, hey, I'm open for business. And, and I had a great feature, a great article in Forbes magazine where, it was a true blessing to connect with them. And Jill Barth that interviewed me and recognized from my postings, recognizing my extra hustle, and also tuning in on one of my Zoom tastings where I was sharing recipes from Portugal and Spain, where I was cooking away, I was playing a little music, maybe doing a little dancing while I'm at it. And hey, it was great to get that feature for somebody just starting out in the first year.
Right.
Like I was on a roll in 2020 for press, and it keeps happening this year as well. I have the link in bio right now of the Oregon Wine Press, just came out.
Oh, wow. You know what? It's really a great moment, because a lot of people in 2020, either they fell apart or they really analyzed the circumstances of the market and really said, you know what? This is what I need to do. And, taking it back, like you said, old school, calling people, reaching out to them, saying, hey, by the way, this is what I do. Do you have a friend? Remember the old referral when you buy a house? They're like, hey, give your card to all your friends and refer me. You tell your friends the same thing. Hey, he's a great wine company, makes great stuff, support him, keep it local. And I found that during COVID, everybody was supporting their local wineries, right? Yeah. Here in Temecula wine country, it was just like, man, I'll keep ordering, I'll keep going buying. I'll go to my favorite wineries and just do my runs, right?
Do your curbside pickup.
Yeah, exactly. We were doing that. Yeah. And then even the ones up north in Napa and so forth, it was very similar, right? I was out there just ordering the wines. Everyone had some really great specials. It's kind of like, man, they don't have all that traffic from the tasting rooms. They don't have any of that. So they were giving away these great discounts. So with the incentive of even free shipping, they're like, dude, here's a case, and we'll throw in the free shipping plus their discount. We're like, bring it
Jump
on.
on it. Yeah.
And this is like high quality wines coming in, right? Versus sometimes when you go take a risk and you go to Trader Joe's and they're like, here's a giveaway of this. And you're like, you go buy, you get home, you're like, well, that wasn't that great. But when it comes from, I think from small batch wineries, there's so much passion, right? Yeah. There's so much work. And I love the fact that the hustle behind that you have is what drives you, right, dude? You're just like, hey, man, I'm going to work. After that, I'm delivering. Before work, I'll go deliver. And so you have your mindset, on check. You're like, this is what I'm doing. You're scheduled. You're ready to go. And you're taking in your money and you're just putting it back in your business. And that's how you're going to grow, right?
Yeah.
Not by taking it and doing something else with it, right? Just putting it back in until you get to that point where you start scaling internally so you can make those long-term commitments on your you're like, I don't want a 1-year contract, 3 years now, because I already know the fruit is so good. And your customer base keeps growing, right? Your customer base grows, everything's going on, and people just are lining up. And, most of the Latino winemakers that I've worked with already, they don't own a vineyard. They work at a vineyard. They're working, other jobs, but they have some type of niche.
They have ganas.
Yeah. And then they have that grit, right? They have ganas, grit, and they're just like, you know what? I don't need I'm not going to go buy $20 million. I don't have that money to go buy a $20 million vineyard in Napa, but I'm going to go do a deal where I could make, 2 barrels worth of this stuff, and let me go try it out. Let me go spend that little investment. Let me make that investment on it. And
it's a matter of metas and sueños, and then the attitude, si se puede.
Right. And it does. It happens. I was the other winemaker. I mean, he looked at pairing the music of into it, and it was the company's called 808 Beats. Awesome, dude. It's like, he paired that with his Comidazo. That's that other, food show, and our other guys, so like
I connected with Comidazo recently on an interview, by the way.
That's great. Yeah.
He got to try, my mom, he connected with my mom in Napa. My mom handed off a bottle of my Viognier to Mr. Tam.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that is really neat that there is those mediums. How now as a Latino, and he's working with small companies like yourselves. They're like,
oh yeah,
and I think the way we enable people is through the influence that we have through our channels that we have, and saying, hey, here's another spotlight of another small company, and by the way, he has another job. By the way, he's Latino. By the way, he's selling out of an alley. He's selling out of a parking lot. Dude, that's a true hustle. It isn't. Everyone paints like having a vineyard and winemaking, and it's so beautiful, poetic. It isn't, dude. I mean, you're out there.
You can have that with, with a joke in Napa is, how do you make $1 million in the wine business? You might have heard that one.
Yeah.
How do you make $1 million in the wine business? You start out with 5 million.
Exactly.
Where, some have it. Some go right into set up shop and ride that wave of the Napa brand that's already there. And it can happen. I've seen it many times in Sonoma and Napa where luxury brands start out really fast, where you have the capital to do that.
Right.
And for us that don't, for myself, man, I just pop the trunk and I say, hey, I'm open for business. Like I can't quite do it on the side of the road, like if I'm doing like oranges, but it has to be more strategic in a way. I just can't open up the trunk wherever I can. But yeah,
and I love that. I mean, even thinking about like my other buddy from St. Solis, Chris. He's the same way, man. He's working. He went from being a massage therapist to you guys forget all this. Let me go, and he started doing an internship
now he's massaging the grapes on the sorting table.
Exactly. And he goes, look, he told me, hey, my parents miss the free massages. He goes, but guess what? Now they're enjoying the wine too. So no, it's all good. But it's
the wine gives them a mental massage now.
Exactly. And I think that I love that mentality. Very younger guys, you're just taking that risk. And instead of, taking the guarantee, hey, I'm just going to go through my schooling system and learn that and have that on the backside, he went to go, go work at a winery, start from bottom, just, cleaning hoses, tanks, everything, to going to UC Davis and say, you know what, I really like this, and learning his way. And I think those are really good channels that I see that there are people who are taking all that energy and channeling it the right way, and it's into growth. Right. And I love, that's why I love your story as well. It stood out to me of what you've done, how your family, came here, the struggle that every Latino usually has, immigrating, not immigrating, like in your case, the family, the Bracero program, in and out, to finally having kids here, and then not just letting time go to waste, right? You have that ethic of hard work, does pay off, but that's what it's, those two words, it really do have that meaning. It's hard work, right? It's not like, hey, it's going to be easy. Here's an inheritance, and go buy yourself, a couple of acres and move on from there. And I think
it sacrifices too, man.
And I think in any business, if you don't sacrifice, you don't learn, dude. It's like there's no value there. It's kind of, it's easier to get over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And big time. And I think, now when you've seen your product now go to market, customers buying it, they're giving you great reviews. You're on magazines, Forbes, local ones, restaurants. Don't make me get my hat. It's over there. But it is really cool that all this it's panning out. But it's panning out because of your work ethic, right? And that's important. And I think that's reflected on your product. And now I want to taste your rosé. So why a rosé of all things? Talk about a competitive space. Why a rosé?
Rosé, as far as logistics of winemaking, you start out making a red wine as simple as a press, and it can be a very simple process away from reds to bring out a rosé much faster in the market. It's a great wine to be out already right now and through summer to sell, where rosé is very popular in many states. And here in Oregon, folks, people love rosé. So it's, again, more of a matter on the production side. Logistics are easy. When the release is out, it's perfect timing where the weather's just turning. And then again, going back to the cuisine that's out, and for Oregon, the abundance of the seafood, this one, for me, the classic pairing is grilled salmon.
Okay.
Yeah, or going back to the seared ahi tuna.
Okay.
Or even with this, with comida latina, you can easily do this tostadas de camarón.
Tostadas de camarón. Man, this is really good. You know, I was never a big fan of rosé. You know, I would have it just to taste it, more than anything, not really go out of my way to go buy anything. But I started seeing so much great rosé come out. And it's always intriguing to me now. I'm like, now I have to try it forcefully. I'm like, and I always walk away always with a smile because there's always some really good characteristics about it. So what is this made of though? Is there a rosé of what?
Pinot Noir.
I figured. That's what I said. You're in that region. You're going to take some of that.
Yeah. And as you're tasting the wine as well, it's all stainless steel. And again, to preserve the acidity. And it's a matter of picking the grapes also during the fires in 2020. The vineyard sources where I'm at, one is in South Salem, one is in West Salem, and west of Salem is the town of Dallas, Oregon, where I live.
Okay.
That's where my grower, Jeff Haviland Vineyard is. We are in the influence of a banana belt that comes off the Pacific, where even with the fires happening, that banana belt still comes through, and the wind pushing through was really the luck was on my side for that wind factor pushing through. And that's why the fires got so out of control east of Salem, because of this banana belt known as the Van Duzer Corridor, Oscar, which is also the name of a new AVA here in Oregon.
Okay.
The Van Duzer Corridor really helped me out in 2020. And I have no problem, even with my 2020 reds, when they come out, of any smoke taint at all.
But I think, obviously Pinot Noir grapes, they absorb everything around them.
It's a really delicate grape, big time grape.
Right? It just absorbs everything. Yeah. And I think that is really, when you take that in, it's really working with what you have, right?
Yeah.
The acidity level, the sugar levels, and then then everything around it. You have, your compost, everything that you.
Oh, everything. Even too, what's really popular here is a combination of whole cluster fermentation that they make with Pinot Noir.
Right.
It's so much factors in. Like myself, being from Napa, growing up, and my favorite Cabernets being from Howell Mountain, by the way.
Okay. Great.
But growing up, enjoying Cabernet Sauvignon, such a full-bodied, very dry wine, where I'm gonna tell you about when I fell in love with Pinot Noir was going tasting in Russian River.
Okay.
And Pinot Noir being such the opposite of Cabernet Sauvignon, having higher acidity, having the opposite of flavor profile as far as being more bright, as far as pomegranate, raspberry, cherries, some of them going in the range of blueberry, versus Cabernet Sauvignon being more of cassis, the blackberry, the blueberry, the darker berries in general. Where again, the Pinot Noir being the opposite, but I was so intrigued where such a light wine has many layers, just like a Cabernet Sauvignon, but in a different way.
Right. So what are your plans in the future? What's your next release you're going to be working on this year, 2021? Now that the fires are gone, you did great with the fires. You put this stuff together, which tastes really, really good. Yeah. And what are you going to be doing for what's 2021 plans for you?
Definitely the contracts that have kept going with great relationships going is the Syrah from Haviland Vineyard still.
Okay.
That's Van Duzer Corridor. And then also Tempranillo from my good friends at Zenith Vineyard, one of the prized vineyards in all of Oregon, my friend. Beautiful Tempranillo they have growing. But also, by the way, right after we're off this interview, I'm texting a friend of mine from California. He came out to invest in the Eola Amity Hills. Okay. He plants Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. I'm going to go walk his property because under PARRA Wine Co, my next step for a white wine, it will be single vineyard Chardonnay.
Oh, wow.
Chardonnay has become more popular out here, but also because a lot of it is being used for sparkling. But I would love to do a delicious single vineyard Chardonnay.
Wow.
Yeah, that could be in the works. But it's more of a matter of a few things where some wines I make such a small amount of, Oscar, where they actually only go to certain mailing list members that I explained in the letter, where if you buy a combination of this, you might get this down the road. That's why I'd rather go with a mailing list, not a wine club.
Got it. Well, it's really up to really at your discretion what's coming out and so forth, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. But no, nothing else is in the works. I did speak with a grower in Milton Freewater, which is part of the Walla Walla side of Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I love the Syrahs from that area. And it's the same price of what I am buying right now here in my backyard. But it's just the logistics of taking a 4.5 hour drive each way and to rent the truck and for something to pay the same. But what I have for the future, since you asked, for my company, I state single vineyard wines from the great state of Oregon. And I truly mean it, where my next step is making wine from the Rocks district in Walla Walla side of Oregon, Milton Freewater. I would love to make Cabernet Franc down the road and Syrah from there. And also be in touch with some growers in Southern Oregon. You have Umpqua in the Rogue Valley. And in the Rogue Valley, the GSM do really well.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's more of a matter of, again, staying away from the Pinot Noir, branching out into varietals that I love. And then for the whites, I would love to find a grower for Sauvignon Blanc or Viognier again. And then my next step as well, because the market does demand it, and again, it'll be for my second label, would be eventually a Pinot Noir down the road, but not for this year.
No. I think what's making you stand out is all these different types of varietals that you're putting together, right? And it's all small batch, and that's created a big boost for you. And it's, what is it? Why fix something that's not broken, right? But
it's nice also that I have the relationship with Zenith and Haviland now, because people know that I'll release the Syrah, the Tempranillo.
Right.
And then they'll have the surprise of, look what I got my hands on this year, which I always love to share on Instagram. But again, I'll tell you right now, there's some secret wine right now that I'm just not simply talking about at all.
Well, that's good.
I will give you something of a clue though. I'm hopefully going to be naming it Postre Lujoso.
Postre Lujoso.
that will give you a clue of what that might be.
Got it. I do. I'm not going to say it out loud either. I already know what it is. That's great, man. Well, right now, what is other wines that you drink outside your PARRA Wine Company wines?
Here in Oregon?
Yeah.
Here in Oregon, in Carlton, there's a small little company called Craft, C-R-A-F-T, Craft Wine Company. Yeah, seek them out for visitors coming this way, away from Pinot Gris and Pinot Noir. Why I love them is they make Chenin Blanc, they make Sauvignon Blanc. On the red, they make Cabernet Franc, they make Syrah. Their Gamay Noir is delicious.
Wow.
That is in Carlton, by the way.
Okay.
Another one would be right here where I live in Dallas, Oregon, is Illahi.
Okay.
Illahi is family owned. They make Rosé of Tempranillo. They make Gruner Veltliner.
Never had that.
They make, it's an Austrian grape. They make Viognier. Their Pinot Noirs are delicious. They also plant a little bit of La Graine.
Wow. So that's pretty neat that,
Italian varietal.
Yeah. They make so many different, types of varietals out there because of the weather. You guys got all seasons there and so forth. So
we do, but for the actual growing season of the grapes, it's so short. That's why Pinot Noir and early ripening varietals like Pinot Gris is so popular. But now with climate change happening, that's why you see companies moving in from France and California. They're setting up shop for the future, my friend. They know in general how special this place is. All the influence we had in the past from the Missoula flood. If for anybody watching this, look up under National Geographic or look up videos of the Missoula flood and how it influenced so much the wine country in Oregon. It is a great story. But again, that's why companies are moving up out here. They know for the future, this is going to be a great investment for anybody.
Well, it's great to hear. And obviously, them moving there, it's going to create better wines as well, right? So I was, when I was in Oregon, I didn't know a lot about wines that were locally grown there and so forth, but they never disappointed. They were great. I just don't recall them. It's been several years. I think it's been over 10 years that I was in Oregon, so it's been a while. But I've been spoiled too many with our California wines, but it's definitely a trip out that we definitely need to do. I love going up PCH all the way to Canyon Beach and then going through Oregon. It was a little town called McMinnville or something.
McMinnville, that's south of McMinnville is Amity, where I'm currently leasing space to make my wine. It's a small town of Amity. But yeah, my wife works in McMinnville.
Okay, got it. It's a little.
And I drive through McMinnville to head to Carlton to work. So yeah, no, McMinnville is changing. A lot of great restaurants in the area. People love wine, and thanks to my clients there in McMinnville for meeting me at the local shopping centers and allowing me to open up that trunk and keep selling my good wine.
Hey, I love that, man. That's such a great story, the trunk story, right?
Yeah.
You know what? It's all paid off for you, man, which is awesome. So yeah. And again, Sam, I really want to thank you today for your time and you sharing your story and that true hustle that really got you where you're at now. And it still continues. It's not something that you're done with. And I love that it's something that's ongoing. And even as you're growing your customer base, you're growing your varietals that you're putting together. And I love the fact that you're building, you're putting together these half a barrel, small barrel of production, which makes everything so unique and special. And I look forward to tasting your Tempranillos. I mean, you gave me a teaser with your rosé and an albarino. So now I need to definitely taste. I'll be in the lookout for the next stuff that you release.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know. We'll connect again in the fall or winter sometime.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thanks again for your time, man. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you so much, Oscar, for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Absolutely.
Adios.
Adios.